And we are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, February 7th, day after Celtics took down the Orlando Magic. A couple days before the big day, February 10th trade deadline. Things are going to get spicy here soon, and I'm excited. I know Sam's probably a little less excited than I am, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll have a good time. We'll have a good time. And, right off the jump, I'll just say it. Sam and I, and probably Tim and maybe KJ, if you're familiar with our pregame shows, are going to be streaming during the trade deadline on Guy Boston Sports, YouTube, and Facebook. So uh, the hours leading up to the trade deadline, come tune in. We'll probably be there chatting, and it'll be out as a podcast as well. But if you want to be there live with us, we'll be hanging out. So come through there. But
Yes, we will.
Boston
Pre-game shows are always
Celtics.
a good time, so you'll be missing out if you
Yeah,
don't come.
talk to the chat a lot. It's a lot of fun discussing thoughts and stuff. But Boston Celtics 5-game win streak, Sam. We'll get right into it. I mean,
It's about time.
best basketball they played all season by far.
Best basketball they've played all season. Granted, it is against bad teams for the most part. Charlotte's not a bad team.
Well,
Really, they're
I will
middle
say
of the
this.
pack.
I will say this. That's a common thing you brought up this year, and it is what it is. Greeny, I saw his tweet. I'll quote tweet it, paraphrase for now, but at some point I'll find it and I'll read the actual stats. A lot of people, in his mentions and everybody's mentions are saying, yeah, Celtics are good, right? But they're playing bad teams. If you think about it, I mean, everyone has to play the same teams, right? Everyone plays the same teams. Celtics are 500 against teams above 500, and only two teams in the East have a better record than them against teams above 500. So, you know what I'm like? It's all relative. Yeah, sure, they're playing their best basketball against bad teams, but quite literally every team in the NBA does that. Everyone does that. That's how it goes. They're bad teams for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how it works.
Oh yeah, no. That it's true. And don't get me wrong, it's fantastic that they're winning these games because these aren't always games they win. They drop these games, let down games all the time. And they
Mhm.
have not done that. They've put together a 5-game win streak. They're now 5 games over 500, longest win streak in about a year,
A while.
and it's a good time. Good time. They should be able to beat Brooklyn tomorrow. Brooklyn
You'd hope.
quite possibly without any of their star players. Harden is
Yeah.
questionable, and
Kyrie
even
can't
then
play. KD's hurt, so
it is the letdown spot. A team that is on a 7-8 game losing streak facing a team that's on a 5-game win streak
mhm,
could get
yeah.
scary. But I don't think it's a game that they won't get up for tomorrow either, because for the standings it has implications. They jump up probably into playoff position if they win this game tomorrow.
If they win, they're in 6th, I
Yeah,
believe. I believe that's how it
so
works.
that's a pretty big deal, and
Mhm.
keep inching closer and closer to those teams that are up above. Right? What are they? 3
Yeah,
games back of Philly, if
take a
that.
look right now.
Yeah, it's
Right
it's
now,
not much. They have made up a ton of ground. They're continuing to play
yeah,
better basketball, and
3 games back of Philly, and they're tied in terms of win percentage or in terms of games back as the 6 seeded Raptors. So
yeah,
they're right there. They're right in the mix. It's close, which is
they
great.
should be able to keep climbing. They should.
And unfortunately, the Raptors are also on a 5-game win streak of their own, of course. So
Well,
there
good
you
for
go.
the
They're good
Raptors.
though. They're
Yeah,
good. And I
solid
saw a
team.
tweet about it. Nick Nurse and Ime Udoka, spent the first half of the season figuring out their rotations, and now they have their 7 or 8 best guys, and they're just playing those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's working. They're winning. They're both winning a lot of basketball games.
They are
Fred
winning.
Van Vliet, Pascal Siakam, and Scotty Barnes are 1, 2, and 4 in minutes played per game this season, and or maybe OG Anunoby, not Scotty, but Scotty's like top 10 still. So Raptors play a lot of minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics minutes are around that same level for the past 10 or so games. And of course, I see people on Celtics Twitter complaining about that too. Pick a lane, man. Complain they're not winning, or complain, that they're like, come on. Like,
What are
people
they
are just looking,
complaining about?
Udoka plays the starters too much. Give Tatum a rest. I see that all the time. It's ridiculous. Like,
Unrest. I mean,
pick something. Pick
you're
something.
absolutely like what do they want? What do you want? What do you want them to
You know
do?
what they want? Do you know what they want? They want to complain. That's what they
Yeah.
want to do. They would like to complain, which is why I mean, I love you if you listen to the podcast. I appreciate you. And obviously, I grew up a Celtics fan, but one of the most cynical fan bases in the NBA. And it's been like that. It's
I
they're
mean, I'm
spoiled.
cynical. I'm on the podcast trying to complain as much as I can just because
Yeah,
I'm
but at
afraid to
least
get
you
excited.
at least you complain about intelligent things.
Yeah, I don't complain, right? You usually when you get somebody's take on Marcus Smart, and that's usually how you determine if they're smart or not. no pun intended. But
I was gonna say.
seriously, I mean, the man's been playing fantastic since he's come back. He,
Yes.
in my opinion, has been playing fine the whole season. He's adjusting to this new role that he's never really been given the opportunity to play in the league. He's always had a better point guard ahead of him, and the team has never missed the playoffs when he's on the team. So I don't know how he's the problem at all. If you're upset,
He's not. He's
the
not.
only issue at all with him is the money he makes and how much of the salary cap it takes up.
And if he's playing like this, I'm not even gonna complain too much about the money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, he's playing
it's what
fine.
it is.
He's distributing the ball. He plays defense. He's buying into that role, and that's
It's
something that
last
before
8
the
games, right?
season
Last 8 games is when he returned. I'm just looking up stats.
might be 7.
Actually, I easy check it to this way. 9 games back. Tatum played 8 of those games. Yeah, so last 8 games since he's been back, 10 points, uh, 4.3 rebounds, 6.0 assists, 1.4 steals, and he's shooting 54% from the field and 32% from 3. You can't really ask for much more from Marcus Smart. He's not gonna be a shooter, right?
Yeah,
If he can get that up to 34%, great, but that's not his game. And shooting 32% for him is not bad. Shooting 54% from the field is ridiculous for Marcus Smart because he doesn't
yeah.
do that.
He's been going to
Historically,
the
he shoots
basket
under
a lot more.
40%.
That's why. I
Yes.
bet if you go through his like career stats, I don't know this for a fact, but the percentages are probably pretty close to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, his career stats, he shoots below 40% from the field on his career. So
Yeah.
54% in the
Well, there
last
you
8
go.
games, obviously a bit odd, but not bad. Not bad at all. And then past that, past 8 games, Smart's at 10, Richardson 9.6, Robert Williams 9.6, 7.8 for Grant, 7.1 for Schroeder, 7 for Horford, and then Tatum at 28 or 27.9, Jalen Brown at 23.5, both shooting pretty efficiently. Tatum shooting 50, 40, 84. Jalen Brown shooting 46, 31, 77. So he's struggling a bit from 3, but I mean, hey, the team is playing well. You know, you got Richardson shooting 39.4% from 3. Grant Williams shooting almost 45%. Schroeder is, struggling. Horford shooting 36% in the last 8 games. Like, you
Yeah,
can't ask for much
that's a
more from
step
him
up for
either.
Horford. He's struggled this season shooting the 3. I'm
Mhm.
not buying that that's something he's not gonna be able to do all of a sudden.
It's
I just find it hard to believe. His shot isn't like if you watch him shoot, he's not using his legs that much. You
and
know what I'm
I
saying? Like
like
he doesn't jump like 3 feet in the air to get a shot off. He has a set shot. He should be
yeah.
fine shooting. I just think he
And
was going through a slump and he might be finding his footing a bit more now.
which is fine. And I like Horford, but Horford is replaceable, I think is the biggest
Oh,
thing.
yeah. No,
And
I'm not denying that.
And especially replaceable considering his age and contract. And I'm not saying you're saying, "Oh, don't trade Horford, keep him no matter what." Obviously, I don't think anybody has that take at this point, but except for maybe Anna Horford, which all due respect, fair enough. But the main thing is right now where they're playing is they put him on the center and let Rob, switch and guard the guy in the corner so he can come in and make block shots, which is good. It's working. So realistically, you just need someone who can space the floor at a 30% 3-point level because that's what Horford's been around this season, right? Maybe 33 and play solid defense, right? Like
On the
obviously
big.
there's not yeah, on big. And if you want to give up that floor spacing, it's not ideal, but it's not a lot of people shoot 30% from 3 nowadays in the NBA. That's all I'm saying. So there are guys you can grab to fill in that spot. I mean, we might as well get into it. Trade deadline in 3 days as we're recording this. I know you're not a huge Domantas Sabonis guy, but seeing what the Pacers took for Karis LeVert, which by the way, Karis
Was
LeVert,
nothing.
well, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but for the
No, it's
Pacers
literally
who
nothing. They traded an injured player whose contract is expiring and like
I know,
a
I know,
protected pick.
I know, but they did it for a reason, and that's around the price they were asking for anyways. They were asking for 2 firsts, and they basically got a first round pick, a very high second, which they traded up. They gave away a second, but that second they traded up from like the 26th overall pick in the second round to like the 3rd overall pick in the second round, and also a second on top of that. So they got a really good second, another second, and a first round pick for Karis LeVert, which isn't too far off from what they were asking for. So in terms of clearing up salary cap space this offseason, clearing up a roster spot, not having to pay LeVert next year, and also getting some draft picks to help kickstart a rebuild. Like, not every team wants young players in the NBA. They'd rather just have the chance to draft the young players that they want to draft, if that makes sense. Like obviously on paper, the Cavs fleeced them, right? The Cavs get something that will help them win right now.
No,
But no matter
The Cavs fleeced them. Like, sure, you
yes,
can say it's what the Pacers were looking for, but they legit. And I don't really know what the value is around the league. I don't have a source or anything, but
2 first round picks is what they were asking for.
yeah, they got. Well, they didn't get that. They got close to that.
They got as close as that as they probably would have gotten. No one was gonna give him 2 first round picks for Karis LeVert. No one. Like, that just it
That's
was
such a
shooting high.
free trade. I mean, don't get me wrong, those picks will benefit the Pacers because going forward, they're gonna have
Exactly.
time to run.
Exactly.
Like, the same thing I always talk about the Celtics, like, I don't really care for picks at this point, or even, like, the young guys on this team, like, or guys that, Desmond Bain, for example, Sadiq Bey, guys that they let technically walk
Yeah.
because who knows if they would even gotten the opportunity to have minutes on the Celtics. So if you're going with
Yeah.
the Pacers, whoever they pick is gonna get a chance.
You'd think, right? So, and that's the thing. It's all about where teams are at. Like, the Pacers aren't winning anything, even if they got like, yeah. I mean, what would they have wanted from the Cavs for LeVert? Like, what team around the league is going to give up a young star for Karis LeVert? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not his value. And you could argue there's an easy argument that Sabonis could net that, but at the same time, if the Pacers aren't super fond of anybody around the league, then why not just take a like middle of the pack first round pick or a bunch of late first round picks and take guys that you want and trade from there, right? Like, because
Yeah,
if there's nobody on the market you want, then that's the way to go. And obviously, it's going to be a quote unquote steal for the other team because they're getting the quality player right now, and you don't know what the picks turn into. And that's how it
right.
works. It's like the Norm Powell trade, except that one was a bit worse.
Well, no,
that
that was
one is
a
a
bad trade. I
yeah,
will say this. Well, this is gonna sound so dumb, but I would do Sabonis for Horford. Like, don't get me wrong, like I of course would do that. But like it just makes me think like, is Sabonis gonna be able to do the defensive dirty work Horford they expect
no,
him to do? And that I feel
no,
like to me that is the most valuable thing Horford's bringing to the team and the role he's filling. And Sabonis does plenty of good things, but I'm just not like I feel confident that the Celtics can hang with Philly in a series or whatever
Mhm.
if if they're playing like they are now
Yeah,
with Horford because I trust him to slow down Embiid at least a little bit. With Sabonis,
yeah.
like you
Well,
lose that.
my thing is you definitely lose it to an extent. And Horford's a good defender, but he's nowhere near the defender that was guarding Embiid a couple years ago. It's
No, he's
just it's
not.
it's not there.
But
So
he can still do it. And where he's really struggled this year more than anything is up top, right? Like guarding the
yes,
perimeter, guarding the smaller guys. So that's not an issue he's going to face with Embiid.
yeah. And my thing is in regards to Sabonis. Sorry, I haven't watched a ton of Pacers games this year. I know you definitely haven't
I
either.
definitely have not.
But
I've seen two
Sabonis
of
is a
them.
big a big enough body where I would feel somewhat confident throwing him on a big man, and obviously Embiid's gonna cook whoever, right? He's Embiid, he's filthy, simply because you have Robert Williams like 5 feet away,
No,
right?
you
Like you
do.
have
You
that sort of
absolutely
chance,
do.
so you can definitely get away with it. And since the defense is already amazing, obviously you don't want to like hurt it too much, but Sabonis on offense would be kind of really good, right? He shoots around what Horford shoots from three. Um, off the top of my head, Sabonis shoots like 32% from three, 31%, 32.4% from three. He'll rebound the hell out of the ball, which is something you've complained about all
Yep.
season. He's a phenomenal facilitator on the block. So you'll have Rob.
Horford's a good facilitator too, man.
I
And
know,
so is
but
Rob.
he's not at the level of Sabonis. It's
He's
just
not
he's
winning
just
the skills competition
not.
like
All right,
Sabonis
there you
did.
go. Sabonis, Rob, and Smart all out on the floor. That's three facilitators, two elite defenders, and two really good rebounders next to Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. That's a really good starting
Yeah.
five.
No,
And
I'll
then,
say this,
yeah,
Sabonis is a significant upgrade in the rebounding category.
yeah.
That's for damn sure.
And then this is the trade I pitched on the pregame show yesterday to Tim. You look at what they got for Karis LeVert, right? They got a first, they traded up in the second round essentially, and then an extra second for an expiring contract, and an expiring contract, sorry, for LeVert. Whatever, right? LeVert is a different player than Domantas Sabonis. But if that's the level, Josh Richardson, Dennis Schroeder, Romeo Langford, and 2 to 3 first round picks, I think would be the price the Celtics would have to pay to get Sabonis. And I think that's the best offer they could offer to the Pacers to get their attention. And will that be good enough? I don't know. There's probably better offers around the league they could look at. And I think the Wizards probably had the best one. And if I had to put my money on the place where Sabonis would end up, it would be Washington for what it's worth. But I think that's the best offer the Celtics should be willing to give up for Sabonis. Does that make sense? And the
but it
Richardson thing
does.
is definitely iffy,
Yeah,
but
the Richardson thing is what I'm hung up on. Like, I really like Richardson. You know that. I'm not shy
yes.
about that.
The only
And
caveat the only caveat to the trade, if you trade Richardson, I think it would be crucial that you do the package we saw from Keith if they're interested. You send Horford, Neesmith, and a first to the Kings for Harrison Barnes, and that would replace that outside shot with Harrison
yeah, all
Barnes.
right. Well, if you
You see what
have
I
like
mean?
both of them lined up, it's not going to hurt you as
Exactly.
much.
Exactly.
But I will say, like, I would prefer to give Horford to the Pacers than.
Mm.
Obviously you would.
You could
And
also get
also,
Craig or Justin Holiday back in that deal because you'd have a
okay.
little extra salary room. So, for what it's worth.
But on top of that, right now, the deal you have, these side pieces you have proposed to me make it more fathomable. But we talked
Yep.
about it already, right? Ime uses 8 guys. So in the Sabonis deal, you're giving up 2 of them. You're bringing in one that would fill in. So you're down to 7, and you are at a surplus of big men. Now, if you do the Kings deal, it's a little different. You're bringing back
And I think
Barnes.
you could throw in Craig or Justin Holiday into that deal as well.
Okay. Well, like I said, if you bring back the bodies to fill a solid
Yeah.
rotation without like falling off a cliff, maybe I'd do it.
Well, I
I
also
really
think
like Richardson, man. I don't know.
I do too. No, I do too. I'm just saying I'm not gonna let Richardson be the player that holds me back in a Sabonis deal because I think
Those
like
are
two-time
2
All-Star.
those are 2 players, Schroeder and Richardson, that are handling the ball for you off the bench. Now,
Sure, but you
I'm not gonna
also
act
have
like
Peyton
Schroeder's
Pritchard.
a gold mine, like, you
You also
have
have
to keep him, but
you also have
it
Pritchard though. You have a handicap or what's it called? A hand I don't know what it is. It's a
a
fantasy football
safety
term.
net?
No, it's like it's a fantasy football term. It's like when you draft the
A
backup
flex.
running back. No, it's like if you draft Christian McCaffrey, you also draft Chuba Hubbard. You have like a backup option
A
basically.
platoon.
Is that it? It's something.
No,
It's
it's not
something,
that.
but it regardless, you have Peyton Pritchard is my point. So trading Schroeder in that deal doesn't mean anything, especially if you're going to give him up anyways. My point is from Indiana's perspective, you get an expiring contract in Schroeder who basically equates to Ricky Rubio, right? He's
Yeah.
whatever. He's going to be gone at the end of the season. Doesn't matter. You have Josh Richardson who can play minutes for you this season and also be a pretty good piece to deal this offseason or next year as an expiring contract. Like he can net you a first round pick if you're Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Romeo Langford, who has Indiana roots, there have been rumors in the past, whatever, linked to them, blah, blah, blah. He'd be a nice young player for them to take a chance on. And then 2 to 3 first round picks is 2 to 3 first round picks. That's what it is. Like Celtics have the assets if they want to make that move.
Yeah, and
And
those are
Indiana
not
likes
picks they need right now because whoever
exactly
they
and
pick, barring, like,
isn't going to get
they
minutes.
miss the playoffs and hit the lottery, is not gonna get
Exactly.
minutes.
And that's the risk Indiana should be willing to take. You know what I'm saying? Like if they want those picks, you take 3 firsts or 2 firsts any day of the week. But on the flip side, like I said, if I had to put money on it, it'd be Washington because if you're Washington, you want Beal to stay, so you want to put the best team around him. And I mean, even you'd probably agree with this. You'd compare that Celtics package to a deal of what would it be? Some of the things I've seen where Spencer Dinwiddie, Rui Hachimura, and a couple firsts,
Yeah, I'd
or
rather have that.
Rui Hachimura, Denny Avdia, Corey Kispert, or like Denny Avdia, Corey Kispert. They just have better young assets,
No, they absolutely
probably.
do because they
So,
can actually play them, and I
well,
don't even
then,
really feel like the Celtics should be playing either of those guys at this point because
yes,
Neesmith has had plenty of opportunity. Romeo's been solid, but he's not been better than Richardson to where you can justify giving him minutes over Richardson.
not even close. Not even close.
So, I mean, they're right not to be playing these guys. The only one is Pritchard that you can really argue for. Now, I don't really know how well Pritchard has played in his like last stretch of games, right? He hasn't gotten a lot of run necessarily, but I do know
Last
they
eight games,
he was
last
part
eight
of that
games,
collapse against the Pistons.
he's only averaging 5 minutes a night in the last 8 games, and he's only played in 7 of them. He's shooting 33% from three on like an attempt a game. He just hasn't gotten a lot of run, is what it is.
No, he
He's not getting
hasn't.
that good. And it
That
is what
is
it is.
one thing. Like I still think they should trade Schroeder, and they probably will.
Yes, I guarantee it. I'll give the
Yeah,
Jack guarantee on the podcast that they're trading
yeah.
Schroeder.
And if they
Or I would
do,
hope.
he's going to be a big part if they continue to be successful. Because say what you want about Schroeder, but he's been one of the 8 guys that have been playing consistently in this better stretch. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean he's like fantastic or anything, but he's fitting into the role that they are asking him to play a little bit better now. And he had a good
Sure.
game yesterday, so you can throw in recency bias to that. But,
I
I
saw
mean,
that
I
a
didn't
lot
really
on
watch
Twitter.
the game yesterday. I did
I saw
not
that
get to watch too much of it.
I saw that a lot on Twitter. Damn, Richards Schroeder has one good game and everyone's ready to not trade him anymore. It's crazy.
I'm not saying don't trade him,
I
I'm
know.
just saying I sure hope Pritchard can keep you from having a little bit of a fall off there.
Of course. Of course.
And I think he
Um,
should be able to. Like we've talked about before, he fits better, right? He can shoot
mhm.
better
You
naturally.
just
Did he
gotta
get
give
a
him the playing
dunk
time.
yesterday?
Crazy, right?
Yes.
The hell did that come from? I didn't see it. I had to watch the replay, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't think Sabonis has happened. That's just a pipe dream. Like I said, I wrote a bunch of Sabonis trades today. Washington was one of them. The Timberwolves were another. It was like Malik Beasley, Josh Okogie, and a couple firsts. And the other one was what was the third one? The
So
Kings. Marvin Bagley, Davion Mitchell, and a couple firsts for Demontis
did I
Sabonis.
send you the thing? I think Greeny tweeted it today. He was like, it was like the Kings like really want to move Bagley like really bad or
Yeah,
whatever. And he was like, it's not really bad unless they're willing to take freedom, like take him back, like take
this is
Cantor.
true. This
Yeah.
is true. We don't have to talk about freedom. Freedom's doing
I
some
sure hope he's not on
weird
the
shit.
team going
I would
forward.
hope so. It's
I would
just weird.
like geez, who are some names we've thrown around as like just like rotation bigs they could bring in that aren't
Alex
Cantor?
Len in Sacramento. You just trade him. He was a part of that Harrison Barnes deal. Are you talking about free agents? Like people
No,
on the
not
open
free
market?
agents. No, not like DeMarcus Cousins or something. No.
He's on a team. He's not a free agent, Sam.
No, it's 10 days up
Oh, really? I
per
thought Denver
Keith
brought him
today.
back. Ah,
Get big
gotcha.
timed. Actually, they might have brought him back. I don't know.
I have no idea. I'll look up player contracts. You talking about like a minimum guy?
I don't know. Just I'm trying to think. Like there
I mean,
was
Nurkic,
someone that
he's
like had been
expensive.
discussed, and I don't remember who it
Jalen
was.
Smith. You're thinking Jalen Smith
It might have been him. Yeah. Not that
in
Phoenix is
Phoenix.
doing the deal, but okay. We've heard now with Schroeder that the Bulls are an option, and so is
Yep.
Milwaukee. Now we've
Yep.
heard the Troy Brown Jr. from Chicago. What do
Mhm.
you think Milwaukee's throwing out there? Is
This
Shemi
is
Ojeleye making his return to the Garden?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting because the Bucks don't have space to take on a ton of money, so they'd have to match the 5 mil, right? And so let's look at the Bucks payroll. One deal I saw from a Bucks fan, which was really weird, that was like send it,
So is
was
Giannis for Schroeder?
no, it was a Bucks fan saying Rodney Hood, a second round pick, and Dante DiVincenzo for Schroeder, which
See, that'd
would
be
be
fantastic.
that'd be stupid value, and there's no shot the Bucks would ever do
No, they
that in a
wouldn't do
million
that.
years. Well,
Imagine if
the
they could get
only
that. Well, that's my kind of deal.
yeah, I know. The only argument is that they don't wanna pay Dante, but again, they don't wanna pay Schroeder either, so there's no real value to that,
Well,
and
they think
that's the type of
Schroeder's gonna help
deal
them in the short term then, I don't know.
I guess that's the type of deal that Richardson would probably have to be in, and at that point, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Dante's having a rough season coming back from an injury too, so
That's fantastic.
there's also that. Um Let's hit the good old trade machine though. You're talking Bucks for Schroeder. Rodney Hood would probably be the first name that pops into my mind because he's not really a rotation player for them. Talking about pure salary dump, but that doesn't mind. You'd need to cut almost 3 more million for the Bucks. Excuse me, from their side of things. George Hill for Dennis Schroeder, but I don't know. That still doesn't work. You'd have to cut a little bit more. I mean, you could do like George Hill and Shemi Ojeleye for Dennis Schroeder. That would work.
Imagine if
But
they
like,
brought Ojeleye back, like, how pissed
uh,
I would be. They'd be like s
but
they'd be furious. I would be pissed.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much I'd love that. I mean, they could always just excuse me, sorry, waive him, but I don't know. I mean, there's no shot they do. He's probably played really well for them this season. Yeah, I was gonna say Connaughton for Schroeder
Oh,
works,
I'd
but
love Connaughton.
he's playing phenomenal for them, so I don't think he's on the block at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I
yeah.
would love that just because
Oh,
he's
he's
from
so
here.
good. He's great. hmm
They
Mm.
need to get some local spirit on the team.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's the only thing I can think of. I've heard a lot of talks of getting under the cap because technically you don't have to trade Schroeder to get under the cap. So some people are speculating, and this is probably recency bias with the game he had. If you trade like Bruno Fernando or Ennis Freedom or one of those bottom tier minimum guys, you could keep Schroeder and stay under the tax at the same time. If you trade him for nothing or dump him to like OKC with the second round pick, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, you
that
could
is a way
do
to
that.
do it.
You lose center depth, though, that's the problem if one of those guys gets
Yeah,
hurt.
Yeah, that's also true. I don't know.
I mean, I don't hate keeping Schroeder, and I don't think I ever have been like, you have to trade
Yeah,
him.
I don't know.
I
I don't
don't
want him
think it
out.
hurts you, but I think there's opportunity there, to get whatever value you want back.
One guy who would be low risk, high reward if you wanted. I mean, Neesmith and Schroeder for Thaddeus Young would be interesting. I
Yeah,
wouldn't hate that at all. I mean, if they're willing to, you take Freedom and Schroeder, dump them with like a first or like a heavily protected first or a second or something for Thaddeus Young. I wouldn't hate that either. But I think I know a bunch of teams are also interested in Thaddeus Young. The Suns being one, Jalen Smith. That might be something you see. Smith and Dario Saric. Um, there's that. I'm just thinking around the league of like different centers that could be interesting to bring in for center depth because I don't like Freedom and realistically speaking, you probably need some center depth, right? Like they don't really
yeah,
have
no,
that
you
with
definitely
those
do,
two guys.
because you saw how much time he got when either one of those
Yeah.
guys was out.
What about Larry Nance? Can I interest you in Larry Nance?
Oh, he's in Portland now, yeah. That would
Mhm.
be something. I don't know if he's a center per se, but he can shoot
He's both.
okay.
He's both. He's like
Yeah,
power forward.
that would be interesting, and he would probably have really good chemistry with Marcus running the pick and roll for alley-oops. I'd keep
Mhm.
an eye on. I don't know how much money he
Hey,
made.
maybe they want Freedom back.
I don't think anybody wants that.
uh, what's his face? Larry Nance is making 10.69 million this year, nice, and 9.67 million next year. So it goes down. He fits into the TPE. I mean, Portland's clearly selling shit for the
Yeah,
sake of
they
it at this
don't
point.
care.
So
He does fit
you grab him.
TPE, I forgot about
Even
that.
I mean, Nurkic would probably be all right, and he fits into the TPE too. But I like Nance a little bit better because he gives you that extra year of flexibility. And Nance is a
Plus,
good
Nurkic
player,
can't
man.
play any defense.
Yeah, he's a big though. He's a big, big body. This year, Larry Nance is averaging 6.9 points, nice. 5.6 rebounds, 2.0 assists, 51.5% from field, 30.6% from three. Down year from three overall, but he's not taking nearly as many. So not bad. I like Larry Nance. He's an okay defender. It's just kind of a guy that he's better than Cantor or Freedom. We'll leave it there. He's a better backup center option than Freedom is. So I'll say there. One guy I think you would be very interested in, who is supposedly available. Josh Hart is available for trade. We
Yeah,
talked
see,
about
that's
Bucks.
one that's intriguing to me
Mhm.
because typically he's been a decent three-point shooter. This year, I think he's down a bit, not positive, but he plays defense. So he's
He's
your
down.
prototypical fit for a role player, especially around like Tatum
Yes.
Brown, right?
Shooting
He's going to be
around.
someone you can rely on to kick out. Plus, he's playing in New Orleans where
Mhm.
they don't have these guys that are going to attract defenses like
Yeah, he's
like you
shooting
would on the Celtics.
13.4 points, 7.8 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 50.5% from the field, 32.3% from three. So
Yeah,
not
that's not.
like you said, down year, but yeah. The only thing is, again, I hate to break it to you, I don't think the Celtics are going to be the team because the Pelicans are looking for they're buying, which is weird because they're bad, but
Yeah,
they're
why
they're
are they buying?
preparing. They're preparing for next year for when Zion's back. They want to have the best team possible around him, which makes sense, right? You
I
banking
still
on
don't think
Zion.
Zion's playing basketball again. I'm
I'm
not
not
even
going to go
like
that
joke.
far.
I'm not trying to be funny.
I know
Like
you're not.
genuinely, there are not like name me a player that's come back from being fat.
I don't know because I don't know many
Exactly. There you go. I
NBA
mean,
players that
if
have
you're
been fat.
listening, like tweet us. Like if someone got fat and then like recovered from it, tell us. That's like
Hmm.
worse than like a torn Achilles.
So the rumors are that the Pelicans have spoken to these teams about a potential Josh Hart deal, and you be ready for these names. Atlanta's Kevin Herter, uh, Portland's CJ McCollum,
Man,
Houston's Eric Gordon, and Sacramento's De'Aaron Fox are the teams they've
really.
spoken with about deals,
See, like
which is weird.
two of those guys is like all right. Like that's like a lateral move for both
Mhm.
teams. And then you're like, De'Aaron Fox, like McCollum. I mean, I don't love McCollum, like,
They
if
want
I'm the
McCollum.
Celtics.
They really want McCollum is
Yeah,
the
see,
rumor.
I just think his contract's bad. Like, if I'm
Also, Knicks want McCollum. That's something else I heard. The Knicks want McCollum.
what are they gonna get? Toppin,
Randall, probably Randall.
Randall? That would
Randall
be
has
awesome.
terrible trade value around the league.
Oh,
Is
I
the
know,
rumor.
he's, like, having a bad season. But,
Well,
like,
and
it's just
he's a
so
locker
funny how
mess.
many people, like,
He
6
he
months ago would've
unfollowed
told you he was the answer.
He
their
unfollowed
other
all Knicks
problem.
accounts on Instagram
There
because
you
they're
go.
playing bad. He's that's a mess. I mean, I mean, you saw him thumbs down the crowd at MSG earlier this season.
Yeah. Well, I
Mm.
mean, up in Portland, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of people at those games, so maybe he'll play better in the empty arenas like he did
My thing
last
is
year, and I mean, people thought the
also,
Knicks were good, and they were
do you see the
wrong.
Cam? You see the Cam Reddish drama?
No, I did not see those.
Tom Thibodeau did not want them to trade for him, so he's racked up 4 DNPs and is only playing 5 minutes a game or 6
Thibodeau
minutes
is
a
a
game.
savage. I
That's
loved him.
crazy though. How are you gonna be that bad not playing a player who was actually having a really good season? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes no sense, man.
That yeah, that
The
doesn't
Knicks
make
are a
sense. I
mess.
would've taken Reddish on the Celtics.
Me too.
He's one of those guys,
Me too.
they got him for nothing.
I know, and
What did
Thibodeau's
they give
just
him, a
like, "Nah."
second in, Kevin Knox?
Yeah, a
So that's the
second or
equivalent of
no,
the
a
Celtics
first. I
giving
think
up,
they gave up a first. They might have given up
okay,
a
a
first.
first and, like, Neesmith or Langford. Probably Langford, more
They
like
sent Solomon Hill. They sent Kevin Knox and a first, and they got back Cam Reddish, Solomon Hill in a second, I think was the deal. So, it
Hill
was
has,
like
like, a decent contract. Like, it's like a decent chunk,
Solomon
right?
Hill? I think he's
Yeah.
on a minimum.
Is he on a minimum? There was one
I'm
point where
pretty
he
sure.
was making, like, money that he shouldn't be making.
I'm pretty sure he's on a
There's a
minimum.
reason he was in that deal.
Solomon Hill, they waived him. It was 2.38 mil this year,
Okay.
so
I don't know what he
they're
made.
s they're
I
still
think at
paying
one
Joakim
point he
Noah.
was making, like, money that he shouldn't have been making.
Probably. Here, I'll look it up. Solomon
See, now I
Hill
really hope I'm right,
contract.
because if I'm not, it's gonna look really bad.
I hope. I hope. Let's see. Solomon Hill NBA salary. Um, he made Pelicans in the 2016-17 season paid him 11 mil, 12 mil, 13 mil,
There you
14
go.
or
Okay, alright.
13 mil.
I'm not crazy
Yeah.
then. Alright.
No, no. No, you're not. He was an okay player though. I mean, he obviously wasn't amazing, but fun fact, the Knicks are also paying Jakeem Noah 6.4 million this season. So there's
Good.
a fun, a
I
fun
I
fact for you.
I truly could I don't know if I'm happier about, like, the Lakers being bad or the Knicks being bad. I truly could not be happier.
It's
And the
amazing.
Nets are kinda
It's a
bad
thing.
too, but everyone's hurt for them, so I don't really put any weight into that.
Hey
Katie's gonna come
man,
back, they're gonna be a pain in the ass again, but,
that's their own problem. They screwed themselves. They screwed themselves. I
who
tweeted
coulda
this out
told you that
yesterday.
Kyrie was gonna be a problem? Not me, certainly.
I tweeted this out yesterday. Who would you rather have, James Harden or Karis LeVert and Jared Allen this season? Just saying.
Yeah,
For
and
that
then
team, I'm
well,
just saying.
dude, like, Houston traded Harden, they didn't get anything for him. I
Mhm.
stand by that. That was the worst deal, like, ever. They got nothing. They got Oladipo and gave him up for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk. All the good pieces went elsewhere, and
I
obviously now
will
they're both
say
on Cleveland.
I will say, if this Nets team crumbles this year, those picks are going to be a lot better, especially the ones in, like, 2026. Because is KD and Kyrie still
No,
gonna be
yeah,
leading
you're
them to
right.
a you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
those are gonna be lottos. Those are gonna be good picks, and the Nets aren't gonna have much to show for it, right? Like, and from Houston's perspective, obviously, I feel like they definitely should have taken Jared Allen and or Caris LeVert in that deal, but those 2 players would probably just put them at, like, 13th in the West instead of 15th, you know what I'm saying? So, in the grand scheme of things, if they really wanted to be bad, like, that makes sense. Obviously, you look at it and like, "Hey, yo, you know, what are you doing? You didn't get these players," but in the long run, they Jalen Green, they're gonna get, like, Paolo Banchero or Jabari Smith this year. They're gonna get good players in the drafts, versus, like, those 14, 15 guys. So, I guess that's the business model. It's like what the
Yeah,
Pacers
but,
are
like,
doing.
if you're Houston, you shoulda I mean, say this all the time about Harden, like, dude, send him to Sacramento for nothing then. If you're gonna send him somewhere for nothing, send him somewhere, like, not desirable. Like, don't let him
Well,
win.
at the same time, and I'm pretty sure I said this to you when the deal was happening, those teams aren't gonna wanna trade for Harden because they know he has no interest in playing there, so why would they trade for someone who doesn't wanna play for the organization,
'Cause he
right? Like,
costs you
why
nothing.
that doesn't matter. Does James Harden make the Kings a championship contender? Is he
Makes
going
it
to
more
want to play
fun. I
there?
might get him to the playoffs for the first time in 14, 15 years.
Sure,
Not
but he
not every
just
team's out there trying to it's funny to say, but, like, their immediate goal is not a championship, especially
my
Sacramento. I mean, they'd just be happy to get in the playoffs.
my point is if he is miserable, then there's no point in trading for him because that's just bad. Like, why you don't trade for a player that doesn't want to be there, and especially if you know the player doesn't want to be there, right? Like
Yeah,
trading
like,
for
that's
like
one defense for
neutral
Brooklyn.
zones
You would
is
assume
fine.
he would have wanted to be there, but here we are. He doesn't want to.
And whose fault
Doesn't
is
like the
that?
tax, right? It's his fault. He's the
No,
problem.
no, I mean, he's
Uh,
mad at Kyrie. That's
well,
what
he's
it
mad
is.
at Kyrie, but, like, he's part of the problem regardless.
Mhm.
I mean, I dislike Kyrie as much as anybody, but,
Yeah.
I mean, Harden's definitely part of the problem. There's no doubting that. I don't know. Harden would be up in Detroit if I was the GM of the Rockets.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The Harden thing's so whack to me. He's such a dick. Like that's just
Yeah,
what it
no,
is.
I
He's
hate
just
that
a
guy.
dick.
I hate him. Like, KD's, like, the only one I like on that team. And the only reason I like
Mm.
him is he kept LeBron from winning a couple years, and he was very considerate of the Celtics, like, that he almost came to the Celtics. He
KD.
Yeah.
I've never hated KD. I know understand the whole snake thing. I've never
No,
disliked
I
KD. I think he's
understand, like,
fine.
why people were mad. I don't understand why people were so mad he left Russ, because I mean, nobody likes Russ. Just look at Twitter. I mean, nobody likes I think he was the problem.
Oh, he's a
He
mess right
just
now.
his attitude is just bad.
People boo him. Yeah, I don't
I
really
did
have an
see it Saturday's game, they were, like, telling him not to shoot, booing him. Fantastic.
Vogel benched him for overtime,
Yeah.
which is good. And
Well, then they
then
won.
Vogel's response was, "Hopefully that player will learn from that." They're a mess. They're a mess. Who would have thought? I mean,
Me.
no. My point is, excuse me. Who would have thought a month ago the Celtics would be games above 500 and the Lakers would still be 3 games below? Right?
Well,
Like,
maybe the late I would have told you the Lakers, but I don't know if I would have told you the Celtics.
yeah, exactly. And I'll
I
take
might
the
well,
L.
I don't know, I told you they should have went 13-2 in January, so
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'll take the L on the Lakers. I mean, I thought they'd be really good, but
I didn't
a lot of people
understand it.
did. So.
I almost, like, wanted to go back, like, I didn't have the time, like, to listen to the old pods to see, because I definitely said the only thing Westbrook is gonna be is their new LeBron's new scapegoat, and here we are.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's all it
You're not
is.
wrong. Yeah, and we can talk about it briefly. Ben Simmons, James Harden trade that would do nothing but hurt the Celtics. That would
Yeah, I
do
really hope
nothing
that
but
doesn't
hit.
happen.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't think it will.
it
But
could hurt, um, those
how?
teams. You know, those guys are head cases, to both of them. You never know. Like, I'm
True.
not saying there's no denying that, especially Harden is talented. Simmons might be a good fit on Brooklyn, so it's a little different. But Harden and Embiid would probably be a pretty good combination, to say the least.
Well, the thing I've seen, I was listening to the Through the Wire podcast. Shout out, Kenny and Pierre and those guys. They the reason the Sixers are so good this year is because Embiid has so much more freedom, right? Like he doesn't have to worry about a point guard demanding the ball all the time. Obviously, Simmons can't, space the floor either. So having the ball in his hands and that is fine. And you knew what was coming, right? It was going to be pick and roll or something with Simmons handling the ball. Right now, Embiid's just doing whatever the fuck he wants. Like he's pulling up from the elbow, he's pulling up from the 3 point line, he's getting in the post, he's taking jumpers. Like you don't know what's coming next. If you put Harden on the team, it's going to be pick and roll every time,
No,
right? Like
that's what I mean.
Harden can't play off the ball. You see that in Brooklyn right now, right? Like he's just, and I wrote about this the other day. They should trade him. Like if I'm the Nets, I'd trade James Harden because he's nothing but a nuisance to this team. And you know what's crazy, Sam? Somehow he's more of a nuisance than Kyrie Irving. How wild is that?
Well, it's
How
not
can you
that
be
wild because
more of a
Kyrie's
nuisance?
only there half the time.
Yeah, but
He's
that's my
not
point.
really on the team. He's
But
like,
how can you be more
you
of a
know,
nuisance to a team than someone who can't even play in half the games? That's
yeah.
crazy. Like you're a problem. I
Well,
feel
it's because
I
he
feel
doesn't,
bad
like,
for
respect
KD.
his teammates. He's not passing the ball.
Yeah, I feel bad for KD. For the first time in a long time, I feel bad for KD,
I
but
don't
he
feel
did it
bad.
to
I don't feel
himself.
bad for him. I
I
don't
guess
feel
he did it
bad.
to
I don't,
himself.
like, hate on him, but I mean, I don't feel bad. He chose to go there.
Yeah,
He chose that he made the decision that Kyrie was gonna pick where they played.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he pressed Nets leadership to trade for Harden, trade for his buddy, and
Yeah.
oh,
That team might have
oof.
won a title last year if they didn't do that.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
might. I
they
mean,
were not
if they
only
were healthy,
were
also.
they strong on the top, but they were so deep before that. And then
Yeah,
they traded all their depth out except for, like, Joe Harris.
yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Look, I mean, the injuries also obviously hurt. Like you can't discredit that.
Especially this
And
year.
KD's big ass feet hurt them too.
Yeah, really.
That's funny.
I mean,
That
I'm
was so
so happy
funny.
they lost.
Yeah, no, yeah, and even as much as I'm happy that the Nets lost, I'm so happy Giannis got a title. I love Giannis. I
No, he
love Giannis
deserves
so
it.
much.
He has done it correctly. That's how
Mhm.
you're supposed to do it. You
Love
are on
Giannis.
the team that drafted you or traded for you. I mean, a lot of times the trade you can't control. And he's
Mhm,
done everything right. He's stayed, he's been through it. They have had
mhm.
tough losses in the playoffs. I mean, the 2019 year when they lost to Kawhi and the Raptors was probably devastating. They went up
Yeah,
2-0. They just beat the Celtics, who everybody thought was the juggernaut team, even though the season showed you they weren't. But even going into
yeah.
the season, they were the favorite, and they beat him. And here you are, and you lose to Toronto, and he stayed and won a title. Lost to Miami in the bubble, underachieved 2 years in a row probably,
Yeah,
and they won.
good for
He
them.
didn't
No,
quit,
yeah,
he didn't leave, he didn't say, "I
you
wanna
can't
trade,"
hate.
he won.
Shout out. And he had the opportunity to as
Yeah,
well,
he
like, he
signed an
coulda left.
extension.
Yeah, shout out Giannis. He's the best. We don't have too much more to talk about. The one thing I did wanna ask you, are there any trade targets that you really want? Like, is there anybody out there you think, "Okay, I want this person on the Celtics?" And obviously, green colored glasses are gonna come into play with how well they played lately. Like you're saying, "Oh, they have a chance now." I don't think they're gonna do much in the playoffs. I think they could win a round, right? I don't think they're gonna go much further than that. It's
Well,
great that they're
winning
turning
around
it
is more
together,
than you
but
would have thought they would do a month ago.
exactly. So it's great. And I do think that they could compete for hell, even home court advantage at this point. Like they get top four. I don't think that's completely out of the question. I think aiming for that 5, 6 seed should be the goal, obviously. And I don't think it's out of reach. But my point is, what are some realistic trade targets or even just people trading away? Also, Jackie McMullen. Don't be spreading Grant Williams rumors. I don't like it. Please.
I
Like, and
trust
she even
Jackie.
said she said in the
She didn't
article
say they're
that
trading him, they're just saying I mean, that's nothing we couldn't have told you. All she
well
really
no,
said is he's not untouchable.
no, no, no. In the article, she even said was like, I wouldn't like to see it either, but basically, the one thing I've heard I don't like is the possibility of the Celtics trading Grant Williams. So that
Well,
doesn't
I'll
sound
say this, if they're trading Grant Williams, they're getting something back.
true.
He's
I'll
going to
look
be
at
involved in a trade where they get something back.
Sabonis, low key could be a Sabonis trade or a Fox trader. If they don't get if they don't get an All Star back for Grant Williams, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a very I'll have a new second favorite team. I'll put it that way. I'll have a new
Yeah.
second favorite team in the NBA.
No,
Then
that's fair.
you can't hate me for
Yeah.
it.
So, like,
I'll
after
have
the
a
trade
pass.
deadline, I guess someone I'd like to see on the Celtics is Marcus Smart. I sure would like that. No, would not.
I would too. I'll give you that. No,
Yeah.
but like, are there any trades, even if it's as small as like just trade Dennis Schroeder or just trade somebody get under the luxury tax and keep the team the same? Like, what's the ideal trade deadline for the Celtics in your eyes?
It's not a lot. Maybe the Schroeder
Okay,
trade, especially if you get someone that might fit better or a pick you think might help you. I don't really
yeah.
care for the picks. I don't care for getting under the tax.
Well, the trade could help you. Well, if you can get out of the tax by trading Bruno, like, come on, like at that point,
No, no, I'll do that. I don't care. He's not playing for you.
yeah.
But I don't
My
think it's
point
worth
is
just throwing away a player that's giving you minutes in your rotation every night during a hot, you know,
okay, sure,
start to the calendar year, right? Like
I got you. No,
in
I got you. I got
2022,
you.
they've been pretty good. So he's giving no one's I'm not saying he's a star. I'm not saying he's untouchable,
No, I
but I
know,
don't
I
think you
know.
should be like giving away for spare change.
Yeah,
I know you disagree, and I know
yeah.
you think there's value to be had with picks or whatever. I just don't see it. I don't
Well,
I don't personally think there's any point in doing that. I think you're
my
finally hitting a little bit of a stride, and why not build on it? Why screw with it? You know?
my point with picks is not let's go get Jaden Hardy or Ty Washington or one of these rookies or whatever. Like, I'll get a point guard to build with Jays. No, my point is if you can get a couple seconds or a first for Schroeder, you have more assets to throw at a team to fill that TP in the offseason. You have more assets without losing assets you already have. I mean, realistically speaking, you talk about that Sabonis trade. If you give up 3 picks for Sabonis, but you also get some picks back for Schroeder, you're just replenishing your own asset pool. That's what it's about for me, right? I don't think the Celtics should be making many trades. I don't think they should draft more than one player in this upcoming draft if they draft anybody at all, right? You trade those picks to get I don't know, Terrence Ross for a season or hell, Larry Nance for a season or one of these guys that can help you that's not Ennis Freedom or it's not Aaron Neesmith or that's not and not to put those two in the same breath, maybe that's a bit harsh, but you know what I'm saying? Like reliable rotational pieces that can come in when you need them to if people are hurt. et cetera, et cetera. Because the Celtics haven't had that in a long time. So that's where I am with the picks. My ideal offseason is trading Schroeder. I think at the very least to
The
get
deadline or
Richardson
off
minutes.
season?
Deadline, sorry. Trading Schroeder, I think that's a must. In again, my opinion. Adding now that I've said it out loud, Thaddeus Young or Larry Nance would be really nice. I'd like that, but
Nance is
Harrison
interesting to
Barnes,
me.
yeah, Harrison Barnes is kind of the cream of the crop for me. Or Rashawn Holmes. I really like Rashawn Holmes. I think he
I
could
don't
come
think they're
in
gonna trade him. They
and
just, like,
replace.
re-signed him, right?
No, they said he's on the block. They said
Oh,
everybody outside of Fox and Halliburton could be on the block, and that makes sense. I mean, the Kings suck. They're like the Pacers of the West. Let's be real, they're worse.
they're
Uh,
worse than the Pacers.
that's so bad. Yeah, but at least they have some sort of young future. I guess Fox is only a couple years younger than Sabonis, but that was a weird time when those two could have been flipped for each other. But yeah, no, I don't know. My point is, I want to see them gone. I wouldn't mind like a Thad Young for the rest of the season, or a Nance, or a Freedom upgrade for the third string, sort of second
That
string
would be
center.
helpful, yes.
Yes. And then Barnes is kind of my splash. And I wouldn't mind a Sabonis either. And hey, if you want to trade Horford for Barnes and then somehow convince the Pacers to give you Miles Turner so he could be the Al Horford in that defensive scheme and have Rob on the wing, I don't think that
I
combination
don't
would be too bad, but
I don't particularly think Miles Turner is that great of a defender, and I also don't think, um, any of the core players on this team care to play with Miles Turner because they were all on Team USA, and they didn't play very well. And I
gotcha.
think, like, we've legitimately heard, like, in the Gordon Hayward thing, like, they didn't care to get him back because they didn't really care to play with him. Like, they don't I'm not interested in Miles Turner.
That's fair. That's fair.
He makes a good
Sabonis.
amount of money.
Mhm.
No, thank you.
Sabonis is the main guy for me. I really like Sabonis. I think he could help. Would not give up Rob or Smart even at this point for him. But if
Yep.
we're talking like Jay Rich, Schroeder, Romeo, and 2 or 3 picks, I would pull the trigger. Obviously, losing Richardson hurts, but having Richardson for 1 more year versus Sabonis for this year and 2 more years, I'll take Sabonis. Like just the youth, the All Star, the potential to have that big three grow together with Rob because Rob is cheaper, and with Marcus, it's going to be an expensive team, no doubt. But if I'm not mistaken, you could probably get under the tax as well, which again, we don't like talking about the tax, but if that is the goal of the Celtics, if you do that trade and also a Horford for Barnes trade, that'll get you under the tax. So there's that. So yeah, that
I guess
my dream offseason is Sabonis, Torrey Craig, Harrison
deadline
Barnes.
or off season?
Deadline, sorry. Deadline. My dream trade deadline is Sabonis, Craig slash Holiday, and Barnes. My realistic goal is trading Schroeder and potentially maybe getting, a Nance, Young, or just a backup center option. That's better than Cantor or Freedom. Sorry. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's not realistic, but Hart is the most interesting to me.
I like Hart as well. Hart's really cool. Yes.
Besides that, I don't really care for I don't know, I don't care for Sabonis.
Kemba
I
back? We want.
probably not. Like, I just thinking about it, like, if you wanted if I mean, he doesn't make any money anymore, so, like, if you brought him back and he was off the bench, maybe you like it, but I don't know if he wants to do that.
Yeah, I
His
don't
knee
know.
still probably isn't great. Like, it's just gonna be more of the same. He doesn't really have much defensive ability for you at all.
Yeah, no,
I'd rather
0,
see Isaiah
negative.
Thomas back if you're gonna do one of those.
There you go.
So
All
happy
right. So
birthday to the
Sam's
man, by the way.
happy birthday, Isaiah Thomas. There you go. But yeah, we can wrap it up there. Is it? Oh, I did want to say this would be really quick, like less than 30 seconds.
I don't care.
Who's your championship this year? It's simple. I just want to know who you think's coming out of the East and the West. We haven't
Um,
talked about this, so I'm
no, we
curious.
haven't. Man, I think Golden State's gonna come out of the West. Those are my guys. I told you
It's
before the
valid. No,
season they're gonna be nasty.
that's fair.
I think Phoenix has a good chance to beat them, but I just think Golden State's got so much experience with the
Yeah,
players on their team playing together in the playoffs that it'll
yeah.
probably help them out. Oh man, the East.
The East is so tough this year, man.
Yeah, it is. I want to. I almost want to say Milwaukee,
Yeah,
just
they're
because
real
they
good.
have the best player. I don't think it's going to be Philly.
I think
I kind of
mm,
don't want it to be Philly, even though I don't hate Philly. I just think their fans will get too excited if it is.
I like Embiid.
I think
I really
Brooklyn's
like Embiid.
still going to be a pain for everybody. Katie is just too good, man. Katie,
I think, yeah. But if I had to go, I think Phoenix I think Phoenix will probably make it out of the West. They're stupid good. I saw someone like
No, they
make a
are
tweet the
good.
other day, and
They haven't even
they're
lost 10
they're
games yet.
ridiculous. Yeah, no, I think they just hit 10. I think they
Oh, did
just hit 10.
they finally lost? I mean,
Yeah.
Miami, you can't
Um,
count on Miami either. That team
Miami,
is
I
good.
think Miami's my pick in the East, low key. They're filthy this year. Sleeper picks in the West. Don't sleep on Dallas and Denver. Both of the I'm not saying maybe I think the finals
Denver's
might be a
beaten
stretch.
up, man.
I know Eastern Conference Finals though. I think
West, you mean
sorry,
Western?
West. I think both of them have the chance to make the Western Conference Final. I'm rooting for the Grizzlies though. The Grizzlies are so
Yeah,
sick,
I would like to see
so
Memphis do
cool,
well.
so
Ja's
cool.
good. They have good players around him. Grizzlies
Well,
got good fans.
if and when the Celtics are eliminated, the Grizzlies will probably be the new team I root for. They're super, and the Cavs. I really like the Cavs. Obviously, I mean
If
it's
and
hard
when
to
the
go against
Celtics are eliminated, I will no longer be watching. That's how it
the
goes for me. I
There
say
you
that
go.
does it for me. I still follow along, but I don't sit and watch any games anymore.
I throw updates in the chat, and Sam goes, "Yep, but didn't watch."
Maybe a game like I'll watch like game sevens and stuff.
Yeah, that's
That
fair.
I will watch. I'm not that
Elimination
casual of a
games.
fan. I just don't care for the other teams for the most part.
That's
I care
fair.
about
I
some
remember
storylines like Philly. If like they were making a run out, I'd be like last year was fantastic
mhm.
seeing them crumble.
I remember in the
Um,
bubble, I was trying to practice my writing, and so I wrote recaps for every single first round game and series in the NBA.
yeah, I remember when you were doing that. I do
Why?
remember that.
It was horrible. I mean, it was good basketball, so I was excited and happy about it, but it was a lot.
Me at that point, I mean, you
Anyways,
weren't doing anything. It was COVID.
I mean, I was hyped that that's the thing I chose because the Nuggets Jazz series was stupid. Like,
Yeah,
you remember that?
yeah,
That was
3-1.
crazy. I probably slacked off towards the end, but I wrote a lot about a lot of those games. But, anyways, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yes, we are perfect in our predictions for the month so far.
I thought you were just gonna leave it at we were perfect. I was like, yeah, I agree with that. I'll roll with
Oh,
the
we did
statement.
pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I got a nice comment in our pregame chat the other day saying Jack Simone is the goat. So I was very happy. Thank you,
Well, that's
Donald.
very
Donald
kind.
Brown, if you're listening. Legends.
It's nice of your dad to
Leonard
say.
John. Shut up. It was shout out my dad though. Love you, dad. Comes in
Tom is
all the
always a
time.
savage in the chat. When Jack wasn't there, he was like, "Tell Jack he's slacking off."
Motherfucker. No, yeah, we appreciate it. And like I said at the very top of the show, we'll be here, Guy Boston Sports, YouTube and Facebook, couple hours probably before the deadline. We haven't worked out a time, but keep an eye on the YouTube channel. We'll tweet it out and everything as well.
We'll
We'll be
probably let you
live
know on the pregame
chatting.
tomorrow. We'll be doing
Yeah.
pregame for the Nets. Another
Yep.
game they should win. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully,
It's a
knock
big
on wood.
game. They should get up
Big
for
game
it. Big for
for
the
sure.
standings.
For sure.
Take care of
But
business.
yeah. Thank you guys for listening to the From the Rafters podcast. Check us out at bannertownusa.com. Check out Guy Boston Sports. I'm not going to say the Twitter handles, and I'll leave that to Sam because I messed it up last time, and I'll let you take it this
I
time.
know Jack was stepping on my toes last time. I'm still here, man. I don't write so much anymore. I mean, Jack and I kind of matched today. Is that gray or white, your shirt?
It's like white with like green, really light green tie dye. It's
Oh,
good
you're not
flow.
even
It's
it's
that
not on.
brand.
Yeah, I need to
Sorry.
stop talking. That's the shirt I have too. I
Yeah,
have the shirt. We could match, but I'm not wearing the shirt. Anyways, yeah, you can follow us on Twitter thank you very much for watching or listening. If you're watching and subscribe on YouTube to Bannertown and Guy Boston, I believe we're on both. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you use. You follow Jack at Jack's Money NBA. You follow Bannertown at Bannertown USA. You follow me at Sam the France NBA. That's all.
Tic tac